If you're over 60, don't make your beetroot and pomegranate drink the same way everyone else does until you hear this, because one small step can change how your body handles the nitrates you're drinking. And most people have no idea it even matters. Today, I'm going to show you why some men add a tiny pinch of baking soda to this deep red drink, what starts happening inside your body during the first 15 minutes, and why the explanation you've probably heard may be completely wrong. Because beetroot isn't simply a circulation drink. The moment it enters your mouth, it begins working with bacteria living on your tongue. From there, a chain reaction begins involving your saliva, stomach, bloodstream, and eventually nitric oxide, a natural chemical that helps your blood vessels relax. But after 60, this system can begin to change. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. One common thing many people use every morning may interfere with this process before the beetroot even gets a chance to work properly. Then there's the baking soda. Does that tiny pinch really make beetroot stronger? Does it help produce more nitric oxide, or is something completely different happening? Stay with me, because once you understand what happens from the first sip through the next few hours, you'll know how to use this drink more wisely, and why two men can drink the exact same glass and get very different results. Think about this. Your body has a nitric oxide system you've been using your whole life without even knowing it, and surprisingly, an important part of it is inside your mouth. As you move past 60, your blood vessels may not respond as well as they did when you were 30 or 40. The thin inner lining of your blood vessels can become less efficient at making nitric oxide. And nitric oxide matters because it sends a signal telling your blood vessels to relax and widen. But your body has another way of getting nitric oxide. And this is where beetroot becomes interesting. Beetroot naturally contains nitrate, but nitrate is only the starting material. After you drink beetroot juice, nitrate mixes with your saliva. Certain bacteria living on your tongue then change some of that nitrate into another substance called nitrite. You swallow that nitrite. But here's the strange part most people never hear about. After nitrate enters your bloodstream, your body can send some of it back into your saliva. Then the bacteria in your mouth get another chance to work on it, you swallow it again, and the cycle continues. Your body is basically recycling part of the nitrate you drink. That means your tongue isn't just tasting the beetroot, it's actually helping your body process it. Now we come to the big question, why add baking soda? You've probably heard that baking soda makes beetroot stronger because it removes stomach acid, but there's a problem with that explanation. Your stomach acid may actually help part of this process. When the nitrite made in your mouth reaches the acidic environment inside your stomach, that acid helps with reactions that can produce nitric oxide and related compounds. So making your stomach less acidic does not automatically mean you're making more nitric oxide. Which raises an important question. If baking soda isn't simply switching on the beetroot, what is that tiny pinch actually doing? To understand that, let's follow the drink after your first sip. During roughly the first 5 to 15 minutes, the most important action isn't happening inside your arteries yet. The process is only getting started. Nitrate from the beetroot mixes with your saliva. Bacteria on your tongue begin changing some of it into nitrite. Then, the drink moves into your stomach, and this is where you need to be careful with the 15-minute claims you hear online. A pinch of baking soda can change the acidity of the drink. But that does not mean your bloodstream suddenly becomes flooded with nitric oxide 15 minutes later. Remember, some of the nitrite made in your mouth actually benefits from reaching the acidic environment in your stomach. So after 15 minutes, things have started. But the bigger changes take longer. Over the next hour or so, nitrate is being absorbed through your digestive system and entering your bloodstream. Your body can then send some of that nitrate back into your saliva. Your tongue bacteria work on it again. And the cycle continues. Scientists have a long name for this, the enterosalivary nitrate pathway. But all you really need to remember is this. Your body recycles nitrate through your saliva. And the strongest rise in nitrite in your blood normally doesn't happen after only 15 minutes. It often develops over the next few hours. So if you're drinking beetroot and expecting your circulation to completely change in 10 or 15 minutes, you may be judging it far too early. But beetroot is only half of this story, because pomegranate takes a different route. Beetroot depends heavily on bacteria in your mouth. Pomegranate has an interesting relationship with bacteria much farther down in your gut. Pomegranate contains natural plant compounds that your gut bacteria can break down. Those bacteria can turn some of them into substances called urolithins. And here's the fascinating part. Not everybody makes the same amount. Some people produce a good amount of something called urolithin A. Others produce a different mix. And some people may produce very little. Scientists have even found different patterns of how people process these compounds. So imagine two men. Both are 65. They buy the same beetroot juice. They use the same pomegranate juice. They make the exact same drink. and they drink it at exactly the same time. Several hours later, their bodies may not have produced exactly the same compounds. Why? Because the bacteria living inside their guts are different. That's why I don't want you thinking this drink is just a simple reaction that happens when baking soda starts fizzing in a glass. What's happening inside you matters too. Beetroot uses one pathway involving nitrates, saliva, your tongue, stomach, and blood. Pomegranate involves plant compounds, digestion, and your gut bacteria. And these things don't all happen at the same time, so now let's make the drink. Start with the red base. Pour roughly half a glass of beetroot juice, then add a similar amount of unsweetened pomegranate juice. But there's something important to know when buying beetroot juice. Two bottles can look almost identical while containing very different amounts of nitrate. So just because the label says beetroot doesn't mean every product gives you the same amount. Now comes the part everyone wants to know about. The baking soda. If you decide to add it, we're talking about a very small pinch, not half a teaspoon, not a big spoonful, and don't think adding more will make the drink stronger. Remember, baking soda does not magically turn beetroot nitrate into nitric oxide. Baking soda, also called sodium bicarbonate, mainly changes acidity. When you drop it into the beetroot and pomegranate mixture, you'll probably notice something immediately: fizzing. But those bubbles are not proof that nitric oxide has been activated. The baking soda is reacting with acids in the juice. That reaction releases carbon dioxide gas. That's what creates most of the bubbles you're seeing. It may look powerful, but your arteries aren't opening because the drink is fizzing. If you're going to drink it, allow the heavy fizz to settle first so you're not swallowing a glass full of foam. But here's where I would use beetroot very differently for many people online. Don't drink it 10 minutes before an activity and expect an instant result. Give your body time. The nitrate pathway takes hours to fully develop, so if you're using beetroot around a walk, workout, or another physical activity, a better approach is to drink it earlier. A useful window is around 2 to 3 hours before the activity. That gives your body time to absorb the nitrate, recycle some of it through your saliva, and move it through the pathway we've been talking about. And there's another important rule. Be careful with strong antibacterial mouthwash around the same time. Why? Because those bacteria on your tongue aren't there by accident. Some of them help change nitrate into nitrite. If you kill too many of those bacteria right before drinking beetroot juice, you may interfere with the very pathway you're trying to use. Think about that. Someone could spend money on expensive beetroot shots, then use a strong antibacterial mouthwash and work against part of the process. That's the kind of detail most beetroot recipes never mention. Now, how do you know if you're responding to it? Don't wait for your fingers to tingle, don't expect a sudden rush of heat, and don't assume that feeling nothing means nothing is happening. Instead, make it practical. Choose an activity you already do regularly. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk, a flight of stairs, or a light exercise routine. Do the same activity under similar conditions and pay attention to a few things. How hard does it feel? How quickly does your breathing settle afterward? And over time, does the same activity seem easier when you use beetroot consistently and time it properly? That's more useful than trying to feel your arteries opening. Nitric oxide doesn't need to announce itself with some huge physical sensation. And if you try beetroot once and feel nothing, that doesn't automatically mean it doesn't work for you. There are several possible reasons. Your mouth bacteria may be different. Your normal diet may already contain plenty of nitrate. Your blood pressure may already be low. Your timing may be wrong. Or your beetroot juice may contain very little nitrate. This is why two people can follow the same recipe and still respond differently. So how often should you drink it? Here's where I want you to avoid another mistake. Don't assume more automatically means better. There isn't a magical number like 3 days a week, 5 days a week, or every morning that works for everyone. Studies on beetroot have tested it in different ways. Some look at one dose. Others look at regular use over several days or weeks. So don't chase a stronger reaction by constantly increasing the amount, and especially don't keep adding more baking soda. Remember, baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. That means it contains sodium. So if you've been told to limit sodium, have kidney problems, have trouble with fluid retention, or take medicine for blood pressure, don't start using larger amounts of baking soda because you saw it in a viral recipe. The same goes for beetroot. Beetroot can affect blood pressure in some people. That may sound like a benefit, but if your blood pressure already runs low or you take blood pressure medicine, it's something to take seriously. Natural doesn't always mean predictable. And never change or stop prescribed medication because of a drink you saw online. If you have a medical condition or take regular medication, speak with the healthcare professional who knows your health history. For everyone else, here's the main thing I want you to remember. The secret isn't making the drink fizz harder. It's understanding the pathway, the bacteria on your tongue, your saliva, your stomach, your timing, and even the bacteria inside your gut. Once you understand those things, you realize the real story of beetroot and pomegranate is much more interesting than simply throwing a pinch of white powder into a red drink. And there's one final mistake I want to leave you with because it may be the easiest one of all to fix.